Welcome to our week 2 session for English 12A. I hope that you are having an excellent week so far and that everything is going well for you. As always, reach out to me with questions or concerns if you need help with anything. This week in our session, we're talking more specifically about our research project, but focusing on research questions and how to develop research questions, and then using those research questions for an internet search. So at any point, if you have questions or need help with the project, you can contact me. Happy to set up a one-to-one session with you in the conference room, or talk with you on the phone, or you can email me, text me, portal message me, whatever is your favorite way to reach me. You can find that information up there right next to my face if you want to reach out. All right. I look forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Our asynchronous session for this week in English 12A. We're talking about research questions today. Our objective is to be able to generate a specific and guided research question. The purpose of this task is to help us narrow down our focus in research. So in this class, your first project is going to be a research project. So having a guided research question will help you with the course of researching for that project. Now, this project's not due until Unit 3, and we are in Unit 2 at this point, but I encourage you to begin working on the research and the writing of that topic research question this week. It does walk you through in the lesson the different steps for pre-writing and brainstorming and working towards researching for your essay. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to generate that research question today. So our objective is to be able to generate a specific and guided research question that you can hopefully use to guide yourself through this project. All right, before we get started into going over what research questions are and how to go about developing one, I want to give you the first 3 words of your access code. They are PIC. So take a minute, pause me, and write down PIC on your paper or on your notebook that you have handy next to you. Okay, so as I mentioned, our objective is to be able to generate a specific and guided research question. So you might think, I've never used a research question before. What exactly is that? Well, a research question is a question that is designed to guide our research. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It only really has 3 specific elements. It needs to be a question, obviously. It needs to be direct, and it does need to have some specificity. So it needs to be specific. If we ask too broad of a question, then we're going to be given too much information that we have to wade through. It's always better to broaden our search than to have to narrow it, because once we've started doing the research, we don't want to have to continually narrow our focus or just wasting time. So our whole purpose or goal with research questions is to be able to have a narrow focus. Then we can always broaden the net if we need to. So the purpose of the question is to narrow that focus of our research as well as guide us with what to research. So if we're just researching a topic like, video games, there are so many video games out there. Like, what type of video game do you want to research? What element of video games do you want to research? So this is where developing a research question can act like a funnel. So I don't know if you guys remember back to learning how to write introductions. You are always given this. My triangle is not going to be very attractive, unfortunately. You're always given this upside down triangle. Side didn't look very good. There we go. That's got to be good enough. Given this triangle to narrow the focus of your introduction. So that's what we're going to use here to narrow the focus of our question. Our topic would go at the top or the top of this upside down triangle, and then we'll narrow our focus as we go down. So let's use my example of video games. So if video games is my topic, my overarching topic, I have to ask myself, well, what do I want to know about video games? So this is going to allow me to begin narrowing my focus and going down to where I'll have a narrow focus for my research question. What do I want to know about video games? Well, I kind of want to know, as a parent, I guess I'm speaking as a parent here, I kind of want to know, are they addictive? That's what I want to know because my son loves to play video games. So are they addictive? Do they cause violence? This is also something that I want to know about video games. What else do I want to know about video games? How much is too much per day? What else do I want to know about video games? I want to know if there is an impact on the brain. I should say, do they impact brain development? That makes more sense, right? All right, so I've asked myself those questions. That's what I want to know about video games. Now, you might want to know different things about video games, which is perfectly acceptable. You don't obviously need to follow my pattern here. But as a parent, I'm looking at video games in this perspective because they're the questions that I've had about video games in the past. So I've narrowed my focus down to those questions. So now I need to ask myself, from those questions, what do I want to know most? And is it going to be narrow enough of a focus? So I also want to stray away from yes or no questions. If I ask a yes or no question, I might be able to have some research, but not a lot to back up. And since we're writing a pretty long paper, 3 to 5 pages, I want to make sure that I'm not just asking a question that can be answered super easily with a yes or a no and just a tiny bit of explanation. So I kind of want to know if video games impact brain development. So that I'm going to rewrite my question. This is going to be the tip of my triangle. I don't know if you can tell what I'm doing. There we go. Tip of my triangle. I'm going to ask, how do video games impact brain development in children under 12? All right, so now I want to know that, and I've narrowed my focus to children under 12 because my son is 7. So I kind of want to know what that brain development impact is on children under the age of 12. Now, this is one of those instances where once I start researching, I might find, I narrowed that too much. I might need to do children in general or all ages. So that can be a decision I make after I start doing research. But now what I've allowed myself to do is narrow my focus enough so I know which element of video games I would like to research and in what regard. So when I go do my research, I'm going to look up video games and the impact they have on brain development, and I'm going to look for research and studies that indicate whether there's positive or negative impacts on brain development in children with video games. I hope that makes sense. All right, your last 3 letters in your access code are K, L, E. So hopefully you wrote down those first 3, and now the last 3 are K, L, E. So hopefully that was helpful in you determining how you can create a research question. In the quiz, when you go to take the quiz in the course after you finish watching the video, you are going to be asked to generate your own research question to demonstrate your understanding of how to do this. And I am going to ask you to show me how you do it using this funnel technique, how you go from a broad topic to a more narrow question. So keep that in mind when you're picking your ideas. If you have any questions about this process of generating a research question, don't hesitate to reach out to me, give me a call, and let me know what I can do to help you. Okay, so now let's take a look at how to do a little bit of research. So we have our research question, the one that I formulated, which is my research question if I was going to pursue this project. And that was, how do video games affect the brain development of children under 12? Okay, so all I've done is taken my research question and posted it in the Google search engine. Now, I'm going to show you the importance of having this research question. Because look, if I just write video games, like we had talked about originally, if I just write video games, I get some information on video games, where I can buy video games. I get some YouTube videos that pop up. I don't see anything that relates to be helpful in researching any specific element of video games, right? I just get this information here. But if it might help me understand what is most popular video games, right? But If I type in my research question, how do video games affect the brain development of children under 12, and I scroll down, I have all these articles that highlight what I'm looking for. Effects of video games on a child's brain. This is your child's brain on video games. How video games affect the brain. And the thing I can start doing when I'm evaluating and looking at what I have gotten back in my search here, move this over so it's a little bit more on the screen. When I am evaluating my search here and what has come up, I can start by looking at my sources to evaluate if they are going to be impactful or relevant sources to what I'm looking for. Because I want unbiased and objective sources, right? I want to make sure that my source material is looking at this objectively. I'm not necessarily looking for anything other than statistical information, relevant information to use to inform me about the impact of video games on a child's brain. So if I look here, this says a .org, which tells me that it's a reputable source. This psychologytoday.com is a .com, but I might open that up to see whether or not it has relevant information. And then this one is Medical News Today. But again, it's a .com. I don't know if that is going to have a specific bend or not, so I'm going to have to read those to tell. But one other element that I want to take a look at is the date. December 5th, 2019 is pretty recent. It's more recent than the other two articles. So I'm going to say, this one might be a good place to start because it has a recent date. This one's 4 years old. This one's 3 years old. And even though the evaluation and the research might be similar now as it was then, I want to use as many recent articles as possible and recent information as possible because it's the most relatively new information, right? So if I keep scrolling down, here's a .org. There's no date on this one. This one's also a .org, also with no date. Kidshealth.org. That might be a good place to start too. Here's a parenting one that's from August 30th, 2019. So I want to say, I might try one of these as well. So let's take a look at this first one that pulled up in my chat. Well, I don't want to sign up for that. Okay, so your child's brain on technology, video games. Our kids are awash in technology 24/7. Oh boy, look, this says 2014. So I'm going to yep, not going to use that one because I don't want something that's that old. This is your child's brain on video games. Again, 2016, maybe a little bit old. Let's see what else we can find and accept their privacy terms. Back. I don't want to subscribe. Every time you go to this website, you get these new things, right? Video games, how video games affect the brain. Okay, so this might be more relative to all people because it doesn't have any specific indication about youth or young people. But it looks like just as I scroll through and identify the objective, I can identify these text features like are brain training games beneficial? I can look at the captions. Playing brain training games did not improve cognitive abilities. Oh, that's older adults. Okay. So okay, well, that may or may not help me, right? So let's check out this last one that I opened. Can playing video games be good for kids? Okay, good question. So it doesn't necessarily touch specifically on my topic, but I'm going to read through it anyway because it does have the identifiers of video games and kids, and maybe they can tell me whether or not they're good or bad. I don't see a date on this one. Oh, some games might improve kids' hand-eye coordination and hand-eye coordination and problem-solving skills. Okay, good. Video games that require kids to actually move or manipulate the game through their own physical movement can even get sedentary kids moving. That's great. Oh, other games don't have such benefits, and violent video games have been shown to increase kids' aggressive behavior. Okay. Doesn't really talk again about brain development. So, okay. So I'm going to go back to my search and be like, okay, so those ones I opened weren't great. Oh, but look at this one. Let's try this one. Impact of video games on children. And then this next one might be a good one too. So I'm going to open those two. So I'm not going to open too many at a time. I'm going to evaluate, a few here and a few there. Okay, so this is recent, August 30th, 2019. So one thing I already like about this one is from the title, Impact of Video Games on Children, the Good and the Bad. I can tell this is going to tackle both sides of the argument. It's going to give me two different viewpoints, and then I can make my own decision based on the information I'm given, right? And then it gives me these quick links in this article. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to scroll down here, skip through all these ads. Here are some advantages to playing video games, working together as a team, decision-making skills, okay. Negative effects, health issues, academic issues, exposure to wrong values. But it doesn't say anything specific about brain development. So brain development is perhaps not covered in this article. But I can still utilize a lot of this information to help answer my question, because the answer to my question might be no, that video games are not harmful to children, and that we can utilize video games to develop these positive elements. Let's look at this last one. Oh, we looked at that one already. Sorry, this last one, video games and children. Okay, this one is mentalhealth.net, so this is going to help probably talk more about the cognitive impact. Rating video game violence, so this will help me. And again, I'm using these text features, like these headings in each section, to help identify so I don't have to read the entire article yet. Once I determine it might be helpful, then I can go back and read the whole thing. Right, so those are the different ways you can evaluate the sources for help. So I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to bookmark this one, and I'm going to use this one in my in my research essay. And then I'm also going to bookmark this one. And I'm going to read both of these, and then I'm going to start utilizing that information and then go from there. And by using these two elements for my research, I can also then begin to branch off my original research question and develop a more succinct and definitive research plan. Excellent. Now it's time to go take that quiz. So take that access code you heard at the beginning of the video and go find the quiz in this step of the lesson and enter that access code to take the quiz. Again, my contact information is on the screen if you need help. Have a great week.